Good afternoon, everybody. It's Mike with smartoptiontrading.com. It is Sunday, and that means it is August 2nd and my week ahead video, and I'm putting this out there for free today. I did a couple quick charts for you guys. We're going to go over that in more detail here, but uh, I don't have a ton of time today. I'm going to be at a conference tomorrow with the Wolf Group, and by the way, I can't wait for that. I hope to see a lot of you guys there. And I have a ton of stuff to get done today, including getting his grace ready for his overnight and being left alone for a while. All right, so we go into next week. Let's start off with earnings. It's another very busy earnings week. The big names are gone, but we have a lot. You got Palantir on Monday night, huge with on semi, right? Wednesday, Tuesday morning, Spot, Pfizer, Cat, Merck. These are, names that are very big in their hut, DOCN, among others. Lots of names. You have a big part of the market reporting this week. Tuesday night, AMD. Remember, they've sold everybody. Every semi has pretty much been sold other than LRCX so far on earnings. Your ANET, ALAB, Open, Ketos, Toast, Pins, right? Nice mix there. Wednesday morning, Uber, Lilly, Shop, Disney, Circle. Can Disney do anything? Circle is of interest to me here. Oh, a lot of the rest of those names don't really care. APP, IONQ, SOUN, SanDisk, and Western Digital, huge, huge on Wednesday night. You got Elf in there as well, Oxy, DoorDash. I mean, the names just keep going. Thursday morning, Celsius, QBTS, Oscar, CEG, Datadog, Unity, right? Four. I mean, you got so many names this week. Airbnb, TTD, RGTI, Net, Lyft, DraftKings, MP, RCAT, all on Thursday night, and even Friday morning, Oklo reports along with Take-Two and others. So it's a very, very busy week from an earnings perspective. And the one thing I always tell you guys is that earnings provides opportunity and momentum. So we're going to get a lot of that here. What else do we have? We have uh, economic stuff this week. So it is the jobs week. So Monday morning, you're going to get ISM at 9:45. Sorry, U.S. manufacturing PMI at 9:45, ISM at 10, with construction spending pretty quiet on Tuesday. On Wednesday, you get the ADP report. You get PMI at 9:45, ISM at 10. You have Fed speakers in there. They're all going to be speaking this week. Thursday, not much going on. Then Friday, you have non-farm payroll going in there, right? So we'll see how this all plays out. From a sentiment perspective, as you go into this week, nothing really changed here like you would have thought it was off of Friday's action. This is something to be watched. So when you look at the Nasdaq highs versus lows, plus 93 versus negative 228, they got worse. On the S&P 500, again, highs versus lows, plus 30 versus uh, 18. We're still positive, but it's very tight. Your put to call, which has not been good ever since they went to daily options, is neutral. Market breadth, however, Nasdaq remains puking down, and the New York Stock Exchange remains paused. On the advanced decline lines, you can see no real bounce here, a little bit on the Dow. And on the oscillators, negative 32 on the New York Stock Exchange is the negative side of neutral, and negative 99, negative side of neutral is slightly oversold on the Nasdaq. All right, so the ES, you saw this nice bounce, but we couldn't hold the 50-day into the close. This is a tale of two tapes, right? You look at the NQ, nowhere's near as strong, couldn't even hit the 21-day. Bonds, problem. Bonds are at a 52-week low. I don't, we'll see if there's intervention tonight. There's talk the U.S. is going to do some intervention here, currency intervention. Japan is. We'll see how this all plays out. Bottom line is right now, the markets and bonds had a very nasty reaction to Warsh, and they continued their downside, but rates pushing up. That's not a good environment. Gold, silver, not much going on. Crude, the attack on Iran was called off. We'll see where we go. For how long it's called off, I don't know. I don't really expect any breakthroughs here, but we'll see. We've heard this so many times before. Until something actually breaks through and holds, I just assume it's not going to. Bitcoin still can't break 65K and hold it and has come back down. The VIX, this is where it gets interesting. The VIX is saying, risk on, there's nothing to see here. Look at that big pop and close on Wednesday out of the Bollinger Bands, just above 20, and then gap down and has puked almost back into the low of the range. It's a very weird market, guys. HYG just going sideways. The transports, we lost them. They were leading. That's not good. The dollar is coming in as well. So we have a lot of really big undercurrents here as we go into August. August is typically a very difficult month in the markets. Remember, tomorrow morning on the open, you're going to get inflows. What I mean by that is, it's the first of the month, um, all your, 401k money comes on, passive investing comes in. 750 on the SPY, that's your big spot. You need to break above that. Above that, the all-time high is 760.40, and it's just not that far away, and that's possible. If we can't hold there, I would look for a move back down and see where we do. Let's go around the sectors. Really, let's start with the banks. The banks continue to hold in well. It's JP Morgan, right? Looks good. Bank of America, these both made all-time highs. They look good. The rest of them, eh, right? Citigroup, Wells Fargo, Goldman, Morgan Stanley, none of them look particularly great. The regional banks here are holding serve as well. That's helping, right? Energy, up a little bit, but you're not getting a lot of motion here out of these. We have Oxy this week. Chevron and ExxonMobil reported they both bounced on Friday after being off a little bit, but you're not getting any power here at this point. What we still continue to see out there is BE, Bloom Energy. Try to bounce big on Friday and they sold it back off. We'll see. They still don't seem to want these names. They really specifically do not want momentum names. And while Bloom Energy is an energy name, they consider it a momentum name, right? So they continue to sell all these off. GEV get caught up in it, the nuclear plays, right? There's nothing much going on here. Um, you know, like names like Alcoa, FCX, right? They haven't done much with these things. CGJ reported the nuclear name, they sold that off. Not much going on in that sector. XBI, it continues to be trapped under the 8 and the 21 day and not looking pretty. Some of the names have been better, like J&J, but it came back in. Same thing with Merck, right? They report this week along with Pfizer. Moderna was an ugly report. I just nothing there for me. It says why that company should have popped like it did or why it's not selling off more. Not a name I'd want to be. Gilead, which was a looking great a couple weeks ago, has come back in. Overall, the sector remains quiet, but holding in. Let's talk IGV. Trying to wake up to the 200-day big spot. Palantir reports on Monday. We've seen a bounce at Oracle, which helped. Got to the 21-day. We saw names like Salesforce this week bounce. ServiceNow had a nice bounce. A big player is Microsoft. Well, Microsoft had a blowout report. It always pays to listen to the conference calls. I made a ton of money listening to that conference call because I traded it actively there. Oh, well, now here we are at a recent highs and we're in this big gap, right? So Microsoft has this big, big gap now sitting right here, right at Friday's high. So, if it has power, it can push through it. I think it will at some point. That said, 2 big days in a row and it's up huge. Don't be surprised if you get a little bit of a back and fill here. But overall, good for the markets. Nice move there. Quickly, as we come around here, pull this back down. So we'll see. We'll see if this sector can continue to try to bounce. What else? Hood. I didn't particularly like Hood's call. I didn't hate Hood's call. I didn't think much of the report. It was okay. Coin was a disaster, just being honest. Netflix trying to bounce and trying to hold the 21 day. Keep this on your radar. Maybe it finally tries to find its way to the 50-day. Meta. Let's talk here. This was an ugly report. I don't have nothing better to say about that. I don't want to even saying it because I own it and I own a little bit more as of Friday. Now, if they buy this back, it's telling. What's also telling to me is you have one, two, three gaps here, and these big gap downs tell you. The market's trying to say to Zuckerberg, maybe you shouldn't be involved in AI. Maybe you shouldn't be involved in all the metaverse and all the stuff you're doing. Maybe you should stick to what you do well. And there's some theory behind that. We'll see. We'll see if their new model, which they're charging for, gets any traction. Because if it doesn't get traction, I mean, their AI venture is going to be a loss. They're going to have to move on for it, which will probably be considered to be a catalyst, a positive catalyst for the stock. That means they'll stop spending their money and they'll probably start selling out their data center space and creating a cloud environment like Google, like Amazon, like Microsoft, et cetera. All right, so we'll keep an eye on them. Meta, though, trying to hold in. The SMHs, this is where you really need to spend your week watching. This was not the candle you wanted to see here on Friday. If this market's going to really pop and lead, especially the Qs, it's going to need the SMHs to participate. And right now, they are looking weak. They gapped up and they sold the entire gap off on Friday and they didn't come back. That's not what you want to see. So far, they have been selling names left, right, and center on earnings. ARM, they dumped, right? We saw them do that earlier. Qualcomm got dumped. LRCX, I think, was the only one that they didn't dump on earnings. Taiwan Semi that got dumped, but they brought it back. So this week you get AMD, which is huge, SNDK, Western Digital, right? You got big names reporting, especially in that memory space. It's going to be huge. See how they respond. Speaking of that, NVIDIA, nice little dead cat bounce to the 21 day. If it gets above that, we'll look for the 50-day. Give you guys some ideas. All right, so let's go talk about other names. Tesla picked up a very long-term trend line around 297, 898 area and it bounced. 8 days, your next big target there. Apple, this was deserved. Maybe it tries to push further into this gap. Maybe it doesn't. Couldn't hold the 50-day into the close. I honestly think the 100-day here, where it held here, is in play. And then last time, a couple months earlier, it held the 200-day. I'd watch for that. The new CEO is going to have their work cut out for them now as they go forward. Google. Oh yeah, the horrible report. Everybody out there is saying how bad the report. I was one of the few people saying I love the report. I love what they're doing. I love that they're taking less margin to pay third-party customers to get their customers up and billing faster while they continue to build out the infrastructure. Smart, brilliant. Here you are to the 50-day. Market obviously came around and said, yeah, maybe that's not such a bad thing what they're doing. If they can get above here, the next move would be up into this 275 area. Now, the 50-day has been the site of a couple failures here, so we'll see how it plays. Oh, who are we forgetting? Oh yeah, how about Amazon? Um, Love Amazon. I've been long it forever. Still own it. Didn't add had I wanted to on Friday. I was hoping to get some kind of dip. I should have added right on the open. That said, the all-time high is 278, and I think it hits that, and then I think eventually we get some blue skies. If you didn't pay attention to the call, yes, they got it down for Q3, and I see so many people out there saying, "Yeah, this is going to kill them." They got it down because they moved their Prime Day into the fourth quarter and out of this quarter, and they're also experiencing some headwinds with Forex. Market's not going to beat them up from that. They didn't guide down much. They guided to the midpoint. They also said they expect AWS run rate to be $1 trillion in revenue in 2028. That's like 10 times, not quite 10 times where it is currently. That is just unbelievable. Nobody does the data center like they do it. They are still the biggest and best out there. So, if this is real and this is right and they're getting their act together, and it sounds like they are, good times coming for Amazon. All right, guys, if you want to join me, I'll put a link in the description below. If you're going to be in New York City at the Wolf Summit tomorrow, I hope to meet all you guys and hang out with you and then catch you at the happy hour afterwards. And everybody have a great weekend.